program. And a good morning to you on a Monday morning, a brand new week, and it's already halfway through June. Later on, after the 10 o'clock news, we're going to learn about a competition called Bet on Black Pitch Competition with some guests in studio. At 11 o'clock, we will talk about the Saginaw County Health Department with a guest or two. But for this hour, I have a very special guest who has a show that I will never appear on because it's called That's What She Said. And they don't care what a he says. That's not true, but it does sound funny anyway. And with us this morning, celebrating the first anniversary of her show, That's What She Said, is Christiana Malacata. Good morning.
Good morning, Art. I love sitting here across from you. This is great.
It's the only way we get to do it. You won't have me on your show.
We'll never see. We're evolving. We never know. Never know.
That's what they said.
That's what they said. Never know. Never know. The future is big and bright.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to run out of competent and accomplished females to talk to.
This is true.
There are tons.
Loads. I've been blessed in this opportunity that I'm meeting all types of women who are just achieving great things and ready to help and encourage the next woman in line.
I catch it quite often, actually, more than you would think. And I'm sitting there in my car driving along going, how does she do all that? How does that woman possibly keep track of everything?
It's like a superpower. It really is. Women are, we love hard. We multitask. There's, taking and absorbing information from every which way and somehow still manage to, look great doing it.
So it's going to be a year old, that blows my mind, first of all. I don't know where the year went. How'd the idea come about?
So the idea came about, first and foremost, I'm a news reporter here at WSGW. I got hired on and I still am a news reporter. And a lot of times I was just interviewing men and women out in, said field. And just these women were, just telling me these amazing things they do in the workplace. And then we'd have this sidebar conversation and they'd have 3 kids or they'd confide in me and they're telling me they're going through a divorce or, all these things that they're going through school for the second time and they haven't been there in 10 years. But here we are running an organization or, the forefront of organizing volunteers in the masses. And I thought this really needs to be highlighted. This really does. So I actually pitched the idea to now producer Jonathan Dent. And I'll always say this. He was in a room that I wasn't, and he spoke up on my behalf. And here we are a year later. Him and I have been with That's What She Said for a year on June 23rd.
And he doesn't get to speak on it.
Yeah, every once in a while he'll chime in with a chuckle or two, but he definitely advises me in a lot of ways. It does take, and I've said this a million times on the show, it does take a village. But you do have the power to put who you want in that village. And Jonathan is one of those people for me.
Yeah, well, he's a brilliant young man to start with and knows no bounds on the work he'll do.
Most definitely.
Yeah. He's the future. I mean, and so are you. If people ask me, I'm 82, I'm an old goat, but people ask, when are you going to retire? I don't have any plans to retire. But when I do, I'm not going to worry about it because I know it's in good hands.
Thank you. That's a big compliment coming from you.
Well, it's true, though. I mean, and it's taken a while to get there. We've had people come and go. And many were qualified in lots of ways. But it takes a certain personality to do this. You guys have that. You got that it factor. It factor.
We got it.
You got it, girl. So how did you envision the show? What did you see the show doing? And a year later, is that what it's doing?
Oh, most definitely. And beyond 100 times, yes. When I first pitched this idea to Jonathan, he said, well, what's your goal? And Jonathan's always been that person that kind of puts my head back on straight, because if it wasn't this, I would be running all over the place doing a million things.
You still are.
And I still am. But with That's What She Said, it is very, very driven in the direction that we planned. And that is to create a ripple effect. If one episode inspires one woman, we've done our job. And it's that. It is just that. We get emails, phone calls, Facebook messages, Instagram messages nearly daily now that are just saying, thank you for sharing, or I can confide in this story, or because of that conversation, now I can have this conversation.
And, we were kidding before the show, but during the show, even when I said, how about it, that's what they said, or that's what he said, or Ernie knows, The fact is, you're not going to run out of women to talk to. I have, over the past couple of months, thrown out names to Christiana, say, oh, you ought to talk to this person, that person. To which she says, oh, I'll put it on my list, but I'm booked for a year. I'm going, oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I'm booked until actually the beginning of September. And at this rate, Jonathan and I are recording nearly 2 episodes a week now and just pocketing the other. And we got to find, something to do with it. We got to keep moving and growing in the, this right direction, because there's a demand, and this is it. There's a supply and demand. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but we love it. We love it.
It's by its nature a podcast, but it's also a radio broadcast.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
So how long is the show, and when does it air?
It runs about an hour long. On Saturday mornings, you can catch it on WSGW at 8 a.m. and then Sundays at 6 p.m.
And podcasts wherever good podcasts are heard. Ta-da!
All of them, yep. And then live, you can listen to the conversation live on Thursdays on social media, the Facebook for That's What She Said, and WSGW's Facebook page.
So you do stream it live when you're doing it?
Sure do.
Glutton for punishment.
You know what? A lot of people are nervous with that aspect, but when we're in the room, the best feedback that I've gotten back is it just felt like I was talking to you.
Well, that's you have, I don't know if you discovered it or not. You were just that way. That is the crux of a good interview. It's based on conversation, not pre-thought out questions and pre-written answers, but on conversation.
100%.
That's what I've been doing all my life, and that's the only way I know how to do it.
Yeah, that's about it with me too. I'll give them a little bit of a heads up, just a few minutes before we actually push the on-air button. I'm like, I'm going to start out with this. I always ask, is there something that you don't want to talk about? Is there something that might be triggering? Just to be respectful of her. And about, I'd say 95% of the women are, I'm an open book. I'm ready and I'm here to share.
I don't think they'd be there if they weren't.
Exactly.
If a woman is closed off, doesn't want to talk about it, she doesn't want to talk about it, period.
Yeah, if I do have a woman who kind of tells me I don't want to cover this, it's more or less something along the lines of, where their children might go to school, personal. If we go down there, their children's names, things like that. But other than that, yeah, I can say that we've had some really amazing guests, some that, that have been recommended by other guests, some that, internally we've learned about. And then also, as being a news reporter, I do get a little bit of a heads up, who's who, and, and what are we doing? What are we doing to help each other? And those women they're phenomenal.
Yeah. And I have a list of them.
I know.
That you haven't talked to yet.
I know. Hopefully that's going to be my fall.
All right, we're going to take a break. Come back. We're talking to Christiana Malacata. That's What She Said. Her program heard on the weekends here on WSGW and where podcasts are heard everywhere. We'll be back with more.
Bring the extraordinary care.
break, I was sitting here jotting down names for Christiana of women she should call for her That's What She Said podcast and program. Now going into its second year in another, week or so?
Yep.
Scary. I mean, I don't know where the year went.
It's flying by. It really is.
Were there any surprises?
Surprises?
Yeah.
Any surprises? Well,
people or how it's going.
Well, I wouldn't. I was surprised that it would take off as quickly as it did. Within the first 2 months, social media had That's What She Said at a huge buzz. Another surprise that I didn't expect, which was not on the original goals list that Jonathan and I laid out, was that I'd have a scholarship. That's What She Said scholarship. Did not see that coming.
Talk about that.
Yeah, that was one thing that was out of the blue, but it definitely needed. It feels good to have it.
So what I've learned from listening to that program is that a lot of the women you talk to in some ways mirror you.
Oh.
Because, and I'm going to say this in front of her, but she is one of the best multitaskers I've ever seen. And that's good news, bad news. The good news is she's very good at it all. The bad news is you never know where she's coming from. You have more projects going on. At the same time, you're a mom, you're working, you're doing all of this stuff. How many things are you involved in? I'm going to turn the tables. This is what she said, folks.
Oh, geez. Well, yes, I'm a mom of two, and I'm married, 12 years now. And I have a household to run, but this goes back to that village component. Both of my parents are retired and are major blessings to my children. I just recently told my mom, and I, will second with my dad, that I can't be the mom that I am without them being the nana and the pa that they are. It's an incredible bond that they have with my children to make every day successful for not just them, but for myself. So that way I can be here. So yeah, I'm a news reporter. I enjoy it. I enjoy being out in the community. I also am a chairwoman of a nonprofit. It's called Lead Saginaw, and I'm actually approaching my 2 years on that next month. Within that, we have several subcommittees within Lead that I oversee. I also sit on the steering committee for the Saginaw Chamber of Commerce Young Professional Network, and I was recently added as the chair of their marketing committee, so that's an exciting thing. And then I have That's What She Said. I have That's What She Said here at the station. Beyond that, I periodically, you might see me on PBS with Somos Hispanos. We record down at Delta College. I travel the Great Lakes Bay region, getting stories from all types of people who touch the Latino culture.
Are you fluent in Spanish?
No, I'm not, Art. You know this.
I asked that because one of the names I wrote down on here is of Mexican heritage and speaks not a word of Spanish, because when she grew up, she told me her parents said, hey, you're going to go to school in the United States. It's all English. You're going to learn English.
Yeah, there's and that's a whole nother conversation, is that subculture within a culture of non-speaking Latinos. And we had a conversation about this fairly recently. One of Lead Saginaw's partners, community partners, is the Great Lakes Loons, and we hosted their Copa Night, which was really interesting. And we tried to bring in subcultures. And the conversation was that one of these subcultures within the Latino population is non-speaking Latinos from all walks of life. If you're
not speaking Spanish,
not speaking Spanish, correct? Yeah. So there's all types of things that keep me busy. But being behind a microphone is one of my favorite things to do.
Why?
Ooh, you asked me the big question. I think because that I feel like I have a lot to say, and being behind a microphone, it makes me kind of streamline all of that. I have all these wild thoughts that are kind of just bouncing in my head sometimes, but being behind a microphone, it feels natural. They just start coming out like putting it in a line, right? Very linear. And I know that there's the power in speaking up, and I know there's a power in speaking out and being behind a microphone and using this as a tool respectfully. I don't take that lightly. I don't take that lightly. When I have a guest come on, or when I'm saying a little monologue before That's What She Said, I always have notes ready for myself to say what needs to be heard to the community, but also say it in a respectful way.
You don't script it, though.
No,
no. You're like I am. I can't. I don't like dealing with scripts.
No, I have no scripts.
Have to at times, but I do not come into the studio prepared with scripts. Even if I have to do a monologue. I mean, first of all, doing a 2-hour show, I have to be prepared to talk for 2 hours and no guests show up. Period.
Yeah. And
so I come in with news articles and things like that. They're thought starters, but that's as far as it goes.
That's a good word, thought starters. Yeah. I for the listeners of That's What She Said, for the past month, I've been carrying around a little book, and I just write random thoughts in it. Sometimes they're bullet points, sometimes they're jotted down, sometimes it's just one word. And I've been just glancing at that book before I get into the podcast studio here at Alpha Media. And I don't even take the book in with me. And it's just, what's stuck and what speaks to my heart at that moment. I might talk about it. Or, who knows what kind of Christianity you might get. I might say something that wasn't in my notes. But no, nothing at all is scripted with That's What She Said.
Does it fall in line with who the guest is? Or are they just your own thoughts, and then we go to the guest?
Yeah, my own thoughts, and then we go to the guest. Ironically, sometimes that does align with what the guest has to say. We had a guest talking about, I'm sorry, I was giving a quick monologue, which is only 2 or 3 minutes. If you let me go on beyond that, Jonathan's like, hey, come on, cut it out. But I was saying something about pathways, right? And sometimes you think you're going this route, and by the time everyone in your life has touched your life, you might put your head up and you're like, hey, my route was that way. That's where I wanted to end up, but I'm here. And then coming to that realization was like, but that's okay, and I'm happy being here. And sure enough, that guest was talking about influences in her life, and that she wouldn't be in the career that she's at if she hadn't, met this person and met that person. And literally, this person passed away, that this pushed her to do this thing. And she is as happy as could be, but none of that would have happened and to put her where she's at.
A lot of folks might say, well, I wanted to go that way, but God had other plans for me.
Definitely. Yeah, we do hear that. Yeah, and I think it's true. Everybody has a mission.
Sometimes I look up at God and say, what were you thinking?
And he probably said, I got you, Art. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Always one of my favorite stories about that is, if you watch a baseball game, the batter goes up and looks up to the heavens and asks for the grace of God and is hitting. The pitcher's on the mound looking up doing the same thing, and I always ask, which one does God favor?
That's good. That's a good point, though. That's a good point. I wonder if the catcher is doing the same thing.
Probably. They all are.
Oh, wow.
All right. We're going to take a break, and back we're talking to Christiana Malakara. She has a program called That's What She Said. Yes, it's all about women and their lives and their thoughts. I'll tell you more about it when we return. Take a moment to talk about McDonald Ford, my car dealer in Freeland. I say my car dealer because that's where I buy my cars. Makes sense, doesn't it? Well, they were ahead of the game because they knew tariffs were coming, and they stocked their lot with tariff-free vehicles and have many more en route. At the same time, as fate would have it, not only do they have all these tariff-free vehicles, but Ford began offering employee pricing for everyone. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means you pay the same price as a Ford employee. In addition, let's say you're a Chrysler and import buyer, you're thinking of a Ford. Now is a good time because you're going to get the lowest price offered. Chevy truck buyers can now get the one truck maybe they've always wanted, the Ford F-150, the best-selling pickup in America, also at employee pricing. So you see, now's the right time to stop into McDonald Ford in Freeland for the best selection and the lowest possible price. Don't let tariffs prevent you from getting the vehicle of your choice at a price you can afford. Visit McDonald Ford in Freeland today. Remember, tariff-free and employee pricing for everyone. And also remember, Ford has announced the extension of the employee pricing through July 6th.
Did you know you can bring the
Back with you here on WSGW. In studio with me, Christiana Malacara from our staff, and she has a program called, as you just heard, That's What She Says. That's what she said, and it's recorded in our... We now have a podcast studio, folks. A real podcast studio, and that's where it's recorded. You can hear it on the weekends on WSGW, Saturdays and Sundays, and you can pick it up wherever podcasts are heard, and you can listen to it live streamed on Thursdays. Lots of ways to hear it, and it's worth listening to. And by the way, if you have a question or a comment for Christiana, why don't we open up the phones? 989-752-6111. Didn't know. She didn't know we were going to do that, but
No.
we are. Sorry, my show.
Oh, I love it. All right, I'm here for it. Let's do this.
So if you have any questions or comments for Christiana, you can give us a call. You are a proud member of the Hispanic community, Latino. Your family was active in the area, though, weren't they?
Yeah, I'd say so. Mom and Dad are big volunteers with their church, St. Joseph, down on 6th and Sear Street. They both just spent the whole day there yesterday serving rib dinners for Father's Day. They volunteer, especially during the winter time, various drives for coats, for shoes for kids. They definitely keep themselves busy. Retired, but not.
What influence did your parents have on you?
Oh, heavy influence. Mom, she's always, like I said, kept busy and giving back to the community. Dad, literally, I have seen him give the shirt off of his back and the shoes off of his feet. When we had our scholarship banquet about a month and a half ago, I did that whole, hey, can my parents stand up? And just the influence that they do give over me. I said they give me the gift of gab, but more or less the gift of gratefulness and gratitude and giving. So always that active giving back, and that was the inspiration, honestly, for That's What She Said, of that gift of giving back. When you have more than enough for yourself, why not give it away?
Which brings us to this notion of a scholarship.
Yes.
So how did this come about?
That's exactly it. I'll let the cat out of the bag. I did not go to school for broadcasting or journalism. That was
I didn't either.
When I was in college, I remember being in college at one point and saying, "Oh, I just need like an extra $200 right now. I need to buy this book, and this is a $500 endeavor right here." And I could have easily said, "Forget it, I'm done." I could have just given up. But again, my parents put things into place for me to succeed at a young age. And I wanted to be that person for someone else. And I also wanted that person to know that there's a network of women behind her. So thanks, with the help of Renee Johnston, who helped me kind of put all my ducks in a row.
Talk about a go-getter.
Oh, yeah, she's phenomenal.
Has she been on your show?
No, she hasn't.
Well.
She's being too modest. I ask her quite often. I have a list of women that I need to contact, then I have a list of women I've contacted I need to circle back to, and she is on the circle back to list. But the scholarship goes through the Saginaw Community Foundation, and it's called That's What She Said Scholarship, and it's actually $1,000 given to a woman that is studying entrepreneurship, broadcasting, or some type of media.
What did you study?
I studied fine arts.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I studied fine arts in college. But we know who our recipient is, and she'll be at the That's What She Said's 1-year celebration. So when I did meet her,
whoa! Did you say 1-year celebration?
A 1-year celebration.
And where and when is that?
That is actually on this Friday.
Is the public invited to this?
Yes, they sure are. Yep.
Well, where in the when?
All right, here we go. All right. So it's this Friday, June 20th, at the CMURC. So that is on the second floor of the SVRC on Washington Street.
Which is funny. They're going to be here during the 10 o'clock hour for another project.
Yep. Yeah, so they're located at 203 South Washington. And that's from 5 until 8 p.m. It's no charge to attend. Just come and celebrate. I would never charge anybody for a birthday party. So just come and have fun. And we're going to have a couple guest speakers. Our very first guest ever, Gina Aniana. She's an entrepreneur in Bay City who is the founder of United We Go. And then Rida Bates. She's a Saginaw local here. Immigrant and an educator, and also a business owner of a gym called Pure Energy. So I asked them both to speak, and then we're going to give away some plans. We're going to let people in on some plans that we have for the next year, and our scholarship recipient will be there.
Why wait? Here we are.
Oh, we're waiting. No. No. I will see you at CMURC on Friday between 5 and 8 o'clock. You can get all the tea there.
And what is, I have to ask about that. I hear that word tea all the time. And how is it used? What is it mean?
Okay, the way I use it is spilling the tea. So, again, it's that, your cup overfloweth, right? So when you have all of this knowledge, all of, and it's in slang terms, it's more of like gossip, right? Oh, I have some tea. I have some gossip.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. But the way that we're using this is, your cup is overflowing with love and knowledge and passion and, insight and tips. We have women come on and talk about tips on, makeup tips, tanning tips, hair tips. But then we also have women talking about, how to remove yourself from a domestic violence situation, how to deal with postpartum, how to deal with the loss of a child. There's tea, there's knowledge, and there's power, and there's your cup overflows, it spills.
It does. We'll be back. One final segment with Christiana Malacata after this.
Hello, I'm Shep.
And I'm
With you in studio with me is Christiana Malacata. You hear her on That's What She Said here on WSGW. You also hear her on the news because she is a news reporter and in the community doing many, many other things. And this Friday, June 20th from 5 to 8 p.m., they're going to be celebrating the first year of the program. That's What She Said. And it's going to be at the SVRC Marketplace in the CMU Resource Center up on the second floor. And it's free, so stop out. And they will also announce their scholarship, and you'll be able to buy knick-knack, paddywhack swag, but credit card only.
Yes.
So we mentioned that. And so what's coming up on That's What She Said in the near future?
Well,
How far ahead do you list your guests?
Well, they're listed through all July and all of August so far. And we have a couple saved up. A couple things that we're going to start incorporating is once a month we're going to have a specialist.
A specialist?
A specialist, yes.
In what? Medical or?
A specialist in the field that they're in.
Oh.
So it could be it could be, a specialist in, hair color. That's important stuff.
Not to me.
I was saying, art, you might not want to tune into that one. We have a specialist booked who specializes in pelvic health.
Okay.
There's just an example. And listeners will know who the guest is and their specialty in advance, and they can submit questions through social media and email. So if there's specific questions that you wanted to ask, I will be the vessel for you and ask them. And then you can tune in live to that. So, that is something that's going to happen in the fall, and we're just excited to expand in general. The scholarship, when I met the recipient, she was thrilled and excited, right? She's going to Delta College with very big plans, but her mother is a listener of That's What She Said. And I told her, I said, this may be $1,000 scholarship, but the wealth that you're going to gain from having a whole slew of women who are excited to meet you. They, honest to God, love and are ready to encourage you and don't even know who you are. This is your network, and I'm handing it over.
You know, it's in this area, specifically in the Great Lakes